Hello everyone. Happy Monday the 20th of October. Hope you haven't been affected too much by that outage earlier today. Hope things are back up and running for you. A lesson in patience, I think. Yeah, so week ahead. So I'm here to give you some guidance on what the energy is likely to be doing this week from today, the 20th of October, till Sunday, the 26th of October, so that you can understand maybe how you're feeling or why you're feeling a certain way, so that you can take some time to navigate the energies and to maybe use them to your benefit as well. Because although sometimes it feels like the universe is giving us a kick up the backside, actually quite often, it's also here to help us, okay? And sometimes when we're feeling hindered and we have to pause, sometimes that is direction, that is the universe giving us this chance to pause and to stop running at 100 miles an hour. So this week, the energy is quite big. I was kind of thinking it might be a bit quieter this week, but of course, you know, we're heading into Scorpio season, I think towards the end of this week, which is very deep. We have a new moon in Libra tomorrow. Mercury and Mars are in conjunction, I think, if that's the right terminology. So there's a lot going on, and for weeks now, I feel like I've been talking about relationships, and endings and new beginnings, and this is a similar theme this week. There's a similar theme this week, and I think if we're honest, it's about the relationship with ourselves mainly that we need to focus on. And if you remember last week, I said it's the most important one. So whether we like it or not, often when our relationships aren't going the way we'd hoped, or people in our lives are kind of feeling a bit challenging or triggering, they're often a mirror to what's going on internally with us. But it's easier to kind of be disappointed with the other person, or even blame the other person for things that aren't going right. But what these energies actually have been all about over the last few weeks, and this is highlighted this week, is to get you to ask yourself, where is it within your relationship with yourself that you're not happy? What is it you're still doing that you're not happy about? What is it you're allowing which isn't really for your highest purpose? It could be negative thought patterns, it could be, berating yourself every now and then, it could be not letting go of something that you know that needs to be let go of. And until you're really honest with yourself, and that's hard, I think it's one of the hardest things, nothing's really going to change. So that's what's coming up this week. Also, as I said, there's Mercury and Mars are doing something today, actually, apparently. And that might make you feel, so Mercury is all about communication and the mind, the mental body, etc. And Mars can get a bit angry sometimes. So you might be feeling impatient, a little bit irritable. You might want to feel like you want to speak you want to speak your truth, which maybe you've been avoiding. But the problem is, if you do it today, it might come out wrong, or it might come out with words that don't help the situation. And or you might get a reaction which is equally fiery, which may be okay. It depends on what's going on. But it may also be that you need to just journal on it today, or have a word with yourself today. Maybe hold back today. Maybe today's not the right day. And it's interesting actually that there was this technological outage today, because I guess a lot of people were frustrated, weren't they? Mercury is about communication, and a lot of the apps for communication were down. I said, how did that make you feel? Did it make you feel really frustrated and impatient and irritable? Maybe it's just that today. And what does that show you? Does that show you that perhaps you need a little bit more patience? Does that show you need to show a little bit more grace and be a bit more grateful for what we do have? And then when it's not there, we miss it. There's a new moon this week, tomorrow, in Libra. Libra is about balance. Libra is also about relationships. But this particular one is going to show you where you may have a lack of self-worth or self-trust, and where perhaps you're accepting less than you deserve. There's also a lot of relationship healing with this new moon as well. And that has to begin with, as I've said at the beginning of this video, self-truth. Yeah? Hi, Kez. Nice to have you here. I already said to you, Scorpio season comes in this week as well. I think it's Thursday. And Scorpio is a deeper, more intense energy. Not this week, but next week we're really moving towards Samhain, or Halloween, and all of that, which is a very sacred time. And it really is a time of deep reflection and working out what we want and what we don't want. And of course, the new moon as well, just backtracking slightly, is a good time to set those powerful intentions. It's probably a good time for a reset. And then there's something going on with Neptune coming back into Pisces this week as well. And it's, again, significant endings and beginnings. But this kind of, new beginnings, this though lasts more towards the end of the year. So it's not necessarily going to happen this week, but it's just an energy that's going to be around. Really, the energy is asking you to, where you're perhaps not being honest with yourself, or perhaps you are being honest with yourself but you're not taking the action, and perhaps where you're staying small, or where you're staying kind of in a situation kind of like there's this feeling of paralysis, but actually you have the power. It's just you need to move beyond the fear. There's a fear present, I feel. There's a fear of the actual change that may need to happen to be totally in alignment with your authenticity, which I know is an overused word. You'll be glad to know by the end of the week there's greater clarity and focus coming in for you. So I think the feeling for this week is it's going to be a bit bumpy. And it's asking for inner reflection again, but it's also asking for kindness and to give yourself some, just to be patient actually. And then you should, if you can sort of go with the flow this week and just sit with it, because we can't bypass these things. We can't bypass what's being shown to us. We can't just go, oh, I'll deal with that later, I'll put it in a box. because it comes back again. It never goes away, and it comes back to be dealt with in a different way. So I did something different this week, and I pulled a couple of cards as well from the Lightseers Tarot deck. I really like this deck. Often I use my own deck, which I also obviously like and love. But I just thought I'd see, just tune into the cards and see, what they were saying about this week. So interestingly, we've got Strength. So this is kind of, still shining your light, still staying in your lane, even when things are a little bit tough. Okay, so I think that's quite key this week. Yeah, I'm feeling like just like things aren't quite being revealed to you yet, that maybe things are just not quite getting there fast enough for you. But it's necessary just to hold the faith here and not get pulled into other people's dramas as well. That's something else that just came in. Because you've also got the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords really knows what she's doing. Like, she's like, right, I'm fine now. I've got this clarity that I need. Yeah. And look at her. She looks badass, doesn't she? So I think these cards back up what I've tuned into energetically, which is maybe a little bit of chaos, but just to stick with it, work through it. And then as the week goes on, you'll get greater clarity. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's see. I'll bring my guides in, obviously. I mean, they're here all the time anyway, so even when I'm not actually channeling them with my eyes closed, they're here, they're talking through me anyway. But let's see if they've got anything else to add. Yeah, patience, Grania. I know. Same here. Okay, let me see what else they've got to add. Hello, everyone. Yes, of course, as Alwyn says, we're always here with her. And she's able to access us so much more easily these days. So, yeah, it is a bit of a bumpy week, as Alwyn said. A lot of truth coming to the forefront. A lot of inner light bulb moments. And what we mean by that is your intuition really, really showing you what's going on, but you maybe don't have all the pieces of the puzzle yet. So that's the reason for kind of feeling a bit impatient, as well as this Mars Mercury clash, which is actually today, but you'll probably still feel some of the effects for some of the rest of the week. You've got everything you need within you. We know this sounds cliche, but you have. And when things happen that aren't quite as you expected, or hoped for, and when you just sometimes don't have the pieces of the puzzle, as we've just said, that's the time just to trust. That's the time to go into meditation. That's the time to connect with your guides. That's the time to go, okay, what is this showing me? Explain a bit more. Ask for signs and synchronicities. Often when you're in this state of not knowing, when you're in this state of can't really see the full picture, but I know there's something going on, because we really feel that is the energy and has been the energy for a little while now. It's good not to do anything, even though you might feel like you want to, because you haven't got all the pieces yet, but it's coming. And we feel that, as Alwyn said, with everything that's going on with the planets, etc., the new moon coming in to help you reset. If you work on yourself this week, if you continue to hold the faith, if you continue to tune in, if you continue to realize that, all right, I don't have everything yet, but I know there's something, I can feel it, I know it, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until I get a little bit more clarity. and that should start to come in. But what you need to do for the clarity to come in is really trust what you're being shown intuitively, even if you don't have all the facts, because you know your logic and your brain will want the facts. Even if you don't have all of it yet, it's that self-trust, isn't it? It's that self-belief, you know, because it's all inner. And everything in your outer world is a reflection of what's going on in your inner world. All right. So we wish you peace this week. We wish you patience, and we invite you to connect with yourself and your guides more, and your angels. And just know that you'll have some more answers, if that's what you're seeking, by the end of this week. All right, so we wish you well, and we'll be back next week. Okay, so that was a little bit more helpful, I think. Yes. We all know our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So, but sometimes that can be hard to take. So, as they said, you might not have all the pieces of the puzzle yet, but hopefully by the end of the week you'll be clearer. So just stay in your lane, send light and love to everything that's annoying you. Be kind with yourself, hold your strength, and just remember that that Queen of Swords energy is going to be available to you this week as well. And as I said, she really knows what she's doing. And she's badass. So, but in a good way. So I wish you a really good week. Obviously, if you need help with any of this and you want to go deeper, then you can have a session with me and my guides. I can also use the Akashic Records. I can do soul plan readings. I can do general readings. You can have an intuitive session with me and my guides where we get much deeper for you. Yeah, there's a number of ways in which I can help you. And don't forget the Spirit Guide hotline where you can just send in a question. All right, so take care, and I'll be back next week. Bye for now.